Let me be clear. We are not here today to tell a story. We are here to conduct a clinical deconstruction of a structural monopoly. We're going to dissect an entity that operates with the quiet, inescapable logic of a physical law. An empire built not on land, but on pure mathematics, on absolute precision, and on total control. This briefing is about the architecture of FANUC.
So this agenda you see here isn't a narrative. Think of it as a forensic roadmap. We're going to proceed methodically, starting with the quantitative symptom, a number that simply should not exist, and then drilling down layer by layer through the engineering physics that make it possible until we finally arrive at the geopolitical reality it has created. Let us begin.
Our investigation starts with a quantitative anomaly. It's a central mystery, a number that within the known universe of heavy industrial manufacturing represents a statistical impossibility. Now, this figure is so far outside the standard deviation that it doesn't demand our admiration, it demands an interrogation.
30.3%. Just let that number settle for a moment. This is FANUC's operating profit margin. Now, in a sector that is defined by massive capital expenditure, by volatile global supply chains, and by absolutely brutal, zero-sum competition, a figure like this, mathematically speaking, should not exist. It is a profound aberration. It points not to a successful business, but to a structural flaw in the market itself, a cause that's buried far deeper than any balance sheet.
Just observe this disparity. We are not comparing FANUC to second-tier players here. These are Tier 1 global titans in Germany and the United States, true engineering powerhouses that operate on meager, hard-won, single-digit returns. The structural implication here is absolutely critical. FANUC isn't just outperforming its competition. It's operating on a different mathematical plane, governed by a completely different set of physical and economic laws. This isn't competition, it's total category dominance.
So to understand this anomaly, we have to pivot from finance to physics. And the first real clue isn't in a spreadsheet, it's in geography. You see, the company is headquartered in a 1.7 million square meter forest fortress at the base of Mount Fuji. This is not some quaint corporate campus. This radical seclusion is a non-negotiable technical requirement. To achieve the 1 nanometer precision their technology demands, they need absolute geological stability. They need total isolation from the constant electronic and vibrational noise, the microtremors of a metropolis like Tokyo. Every passing subway train, every skyscraper swaying in the wind, at this scale, that's a source of catastrophic noise. This fortress, therefore, is the first layer of their moat.
Okay, so now we move from the macro symptom to the micro cause. That financial number, that anomaly, it's a direct result of an obsessive, almost pathologically clinical engineering philosophy. This is what we call the fortress of logic, a system that, to any rational outsider, appears as pure madness.
Before we go any further, we absolutely must define the core technology. CNC, Computer Numerical Control. This isn't just a component, it is the central nervous system of all modern manufacturing. The technology traces its direct lineage back to G-code, a command language that was developed at MIT back in the 1950s. It is the universal syntax, the Latin of manufacturing, that translates a digital design into precise, repeatable physical motion. And you have to understand, to control CNC is to control the very grammar of how physical objects are made. FANUC doesn't just participate in this market. For all intents and purposes, they own the language.
FANUC's strategy is a ruthless, total vertical integration. They don't just assemble robots, they build the machines that build the robots. They fabricate their own servo motors, these are the muscles. They engineer their own proprietary encoders, the nerve endings that measure position down to the nanometer. And then they integrate these perfect in-house components into a closed CNC system, the brain. The result is a physical and digital black box, a system so hermetically sealed that it becomes a complete and total barrier to reverse engineering.
And this brings us to what we call the entropy problem. To an outsider, manufacturing every single component yourself seems wildly inefficient. But FANUC understands that every third-party component, no matter how high its quality, introduces infinitesimal variables, vibrational, thermal, electronic. This is technical noise. And at the nanometer scale, noise isn't a nuisance, it is catastrophic failure. Their obsessive internalization is a cold, rational defense against the fundamental laws of physics.
We now have to reframe the business model entirely. What the rest of the world sees as exemplary customer service is in fact a form of strategic enslavement. It's an architecture of dependence, built not on contracts, but on time, on sunk costs, and on human habit.
FANUC commits to repairing any product for up to 40 years. This is not customer service, this is strategic legacy integration. Just consider a critical aerospace supplier. A machine tool they installed back in 1986 is still operational today. Multiple generations of their machinists have been trained exclusively on FANUC's specific dialect of G-code. Their entire operational logic, their muscle memory, is built around it. So if they wanted to switch to a competitor like Siemens in 2026, it wouldn't just be a capital expense, it would be a catastrophic workforce crisis, requiring the complete retraining of their deepest institutional knowledge. FANUC has literally weaponized reliability.
Observe the second-order effect. The primary moat protecting FANUC isn't their patent portfolio, which is of course formidable. It is the weaponization of human habit and sunk cost. The muscle memory of a global workforce of machinists, conditioned over decades, is a far more powerful barrier to entry than any legal document ever could be. The structural implication is that they have turned their customers' own operational history into an inescapable cage. And this brings us to their capital reserves, which routinely exceed 1 trillion yen. This isn't corporate savings, it is a strategic war chest. While competitors are forced into brutal contractions during global recessions, slashing their R&D budgets just to survive, FANUC does the exact opposite. They use their capital to aggressively accelerate research and development, effectively doubling their technological lead during every single downturn. They have learned to weaponize the business cycle itself. So now we must escalate our analysis from the corporate to the geopolitical. FANUC's position is not merely one of market leadership, it is an invisible but absolutely critical choke point in the global technological power struggle.
Consider the implications of this chart. A 50% global market share in CNC systems. And this is a conservative figure. This means that at least half of the world's advanced machine tools, the machines that build everything from iPhones to fighter jets, think with a FANUC brain. Let me be perfectly clear. This is not market share. This is structural control over the planet's industrial nervous system.
And this leads to a chilling conclusion when we analyze the China paradox. Beijing's Made in China 2025 initiative is a multi-billion-dollar push for technological self-sufficiency. And yet, the vast majority of high-end domestic Chinese robots are powered by FANUC controllers. You see, China is building the rifles, but the ammunition, the high-precision brains, is manufactured in a Japanese forest. Beijing's grand industrial strategy is in effect a FANUC expansion plan.
And this paradox is not limited to China. As the United States seeks to reshore critical manufacturing through massive initiatives like the CHIPS Act, they face the exact same structural dependency. You see, high American labor costs mandate extreme lights-out automation. Therefore, every new semiconductor fab, every advanced aerospace facility built on U.S. soil will be filled with these yellow robots. The primary financial beneficiary of America's industrial revival policy is FANUC. This leads to a chilling conclusion for strategic planners in the Pentagon. America is funding its own strategic vulnerability.
So let us now examine the human strategic dimension. The company's seemingly irrational corporate culture, a relic of its autocratic founder, is not an accident. It is a highly calculated, highly effective defense mechanism.
The founder, Dr. Seiyumanon Inaba, was a technical autocrat. When activist investor Dan Loeb challenged the company's famous secrecy back in 2015, the market expected a brutal, drawn-out war. But instead, Inaba's successor performed a masterclass in corporate Aikido. He didn't resist the attack. He absorbed its energy. He executed what he called a strategic opening. He created an investor relations department. He doubled the dividend. He gave the attacker exactly what they asked for on the surface, using their own momentum to deflect the blow away from the company's vital center, the core R&D laboratory, which remained a hermetically sealed black box.
And so, we conclude by projecting these structural advantages forward into the next technological paradigm. The coming conflict is no longer purely mechanical. It is about the physics of computation, and it will be fought at the nanosecond level, right on the factory floor.
The next great battle is between cloud AI and edge AI. While Silicon Valley pushes for cloud-based manufacturing, FANUC is hardening its position at the edge with its field system. And the reason for this is simple: the latency of physics. A mission-critical robot performing a micro-weld simply cannot wait 50 milliseconds for a decision from a distant Amazon server. That tiny delay is the difference between perfection and catastrophic failure. The intelligence must be physically embedded in the machine. Physics itself dictates that for the next 2 decades, the factory floor belongs to the edge. It belongs to FANUC.
This entire philosophy reaches its ultimate logical expression in their own factories.
In these lights-out facilities, yellow robots assemble other yellow robots, 24 hours a day in total darkness. They don't need light, they don't need heat, they certainly do not need human supervision. We must be precise with our language here. This is not a factory. It is a self-replicating, self-sustaining organism, a system that has now evolved beyond the need for its creators.
The crucial point is this. FANUC has constructed a perfect yellow cage. They offer flawless reliability, lifetime support, and unparalleled precision. The price of entry is absolute, irrevocable control of your industrial nervous system. The final question then for global industry and for global powers is not whether this cage can be broken. The question is whether we possess the strategic courage to accept this dependency or the strategic folly to challenge it.